Good afternoon. I'm today announcing that I'll be resigning as a member of our state's parliament, the leader of the Liberal Party and as Premier of Tasmania. I have this morning informed my Cabinet colleagues and the Prime Minister of what has been a very difficult decision. I've been Premier for just on 6 years and leader of the Liberal Party for 14. I've given this job, which is an enormous honour and a privilege, absolutely everything. And it's a job I've loved. It's undeniable that it's had an impact on my family, and I want to thank them for their amazing support for the 17 and a half years that I have been a Member of Parliament, our children's whole lives. As we approach the halfway mark with 2 more years of this term of government, I believe that now is the right time for me to allow for new leadership. I've no doubt that the team that I've had the privilege to lead not only has a clear plan to keep our state moving forward in a positive direction, but also to tackle the challenges that we have always acknowledged and accepted responsibility for, but to seize also the many opportunities that lie ahead for our state, and they are the best team to do it. I leave this job with Tasmania in a better place than when we started. We have turned Tasmania around. For the first time ever, our economy is the strongest performing in the country. Tasmanian businesses are the most confident in the country and they're employing more Tasmanians. There are over 18,000 more Tasmanians employed now than when we came into government, with 1,600 more businesses. And it doesn't just happen by luck. We have delivered the most competitive business environment and the most positive conditions for businesses to prosper in the country. And I'm extremely proud to have been part of a government that has played its part in the turnaround state. We've delivered our plan to turn around our economy from being the worst in the country to the best, to take our state's budget from deficits to surpluses, to invest more into health, into education, and into essential services and into the infrastructure that our growing state needs. In addition to taking our state from economic laggard to leader, I'm especially proud of what we have done to improve education results. In the very first speech I made in our parliament, I spoke about the importance of education to give every Tasmanian their best shot in life. And under my government, our high schools now provide the years 11 and 12 that our students need. We're increasing access to early education for our most disadvantaged communities and delivering more support for students with disabilities. There is a long way to go, but we're making progress in this most important of reforms. And today our retention rates, our TCE attainment, is up by more than 10% rather since 2014. Because we've managed our state's finances well, we are now able to invest more to improve services into our hospitals, employing over 1,000 more health professionals to work in our health system, and increasing access to more social and affordable housing and to reduce homelessness. We've led the country in our efforts to eliminate family and sexual violence. As Tasmania's first Minister for the Prevention of Family and Sexual Violence, I'm very proud of the fact that it's our government that's delivering an action plan that is now seeing a decrease in the number of high-risk incidents in our community. It was under my government that we've invested an additional $52 million into our Family Violence Action Plan, more resources, better coordination of support services, more early intervention and prevention strategies, and it's described as nation-leading. These are just some of the important changes that have occurred under my government to improve the lives of Tasmanians. But Tasmania is also now a much more confident place. Our mighty tourism industry that I've loved being its minister for the last 6 years has been at the centre of my government's plan. We've significantly increased the marketing for our state, invested in some of the world's best events, festivals, eco-tourism attractions and at key destinations. More flights, more sailings of the spirits of Tasmania. We have had the highest rate of international tourists in the country in growth, and we've doubled the number of international visitors to our state over the last 5 years, supporting local businesses and more Tasmanians in jobs. We're sending more of our high-value goods and services to the rest of the world. Exports are up 34% from when we came into government. Our brand has never been stronger. We are the first state in the country and one of few places in the world to establish a place branding authority to ensure that we continue to stand out from the crowd. We're the only state that is GMO-free, giving us a massive brand advantage. Our food production has grown by 10%, fuelled by a nation-leading investment into major irrigation projects in partnership with the federal government and our farmers. Infrastructure investment by my government has more than doubled in just 6 years, supporting record private sector investment, which is 66% higher now than when we came into government. We're investing in our road and rail networks and making our transport more efficient, productive and safer. With the Morrison government, we're powering ahead with what are projects of national significance in the energy sector that are estimated which will inject around $6.5 billion into our economy, create around 2,400 jobs, and it will allow us to continue to deliver reliable and low-cost energy. And we've delivered the lowest regulated electricity prices in the country. Now, as we watch with horror at wildfires sweeping across our nation, Tasmanians knowing too well the devastation that bushfires can cause, through what is nation-leading fuel reduction programs, we've reduced the fire risk here to its lowest level in 15 years. But as we face the reality of climate change, the fact is that under my government, we are delivering a Tasmanian Climate Action Plan. We are on track to be 100% self-sufficient in renewable energy generation by 2022. We were the first state to reach zero net emissions status in 2016 under our government, and Tasmania has the lowest per capita emissions of all states and territories and one of the lowest net emitters of carbon dioxide on the planet. And Tasmania is ready to play its part in Australia's response to climate change by becoming the renewable energy powerhouse of the nation. I have been a Member of Parliament for 17 and a half years, and I've served as Leader of the Liberal Party in Tasmania for nearly 14 of them. I've had the strong support of my colleagues for all that time, and I thank them for it and for their commitment to our team, but most importantly to our state. I want to especially thank the very dependable, the very genuine, the very likeable Jeremy Rockcliffe, who has sat beside me in Parliament and stood alongside me as my deputy for those 14 years. The other member of our triumvirate, Peter Gutwin, an excellent treasurer but also a passionate and intensely focused member of our team. We're the three sole survivors of the 2002 election when our party was flawed. We persisted and determinedly worked hard in opposition, and 12 years later were entrusted by the people of Tasmania to govern our state in 2014. And in 2018, for only the second time in our state's history, the Liberal Party again earned the trust of the Tasmanian people to govern in majority for a second term. I cannot thank all my parliamentary colleagues enough for the honour I've had to work with them. I want to thank the Liberal Party administration, especially former State Director Sam McQuestion and Presidents Jeff Page and Rod Scurra, and their executives who have offered enormous support. The many members of staff who have supported my office through the challenging years in opposition, and those with the heavy responsibility of government, my thanks. To my Chief of Staff for 8 years, Brad Stansfield, they called us the odd couple, but we made it click, and we proved to be an effective combination. And I can't think of many I've worked with who are more invested, dedicated and across the job than him. And to Tim Baker, who stepped on up to take responsibility. My thanks to him and his conviction and his irrepressible enthusiasm for what is one of the toughest jobs in politics. And there's one person who's been with me every single day of those 14 years, Sandy Widdowson. Sandy's remarkable endurance truly comes from a genuine passion for making our state a better place, and she is a fine exemplar of anyone, for anyone who works in the public service. To my DPAC secretaries, to Jenny Gale and to Greg Johannes, all agency heads, especially my head of tourism, John Fitzgerald, and state growth, Kim Evans, and their teams and the members of Tasmania's fine state service. I've thoroughly enjoyed the opportunities and embraced all of the challenges that come with this job. And most importantly, to my greatest support, my family, my sisters Ange and Tor, who I suspect might have sometimes wished that I did something else, but they've never complained about it. To Nikki, Will, James and Lily. Our children have grown up with me in the public spotlight, and it often hasn't been easy. There is no denying that this job has an impact on your personal life and your family, but we've done it together and they've supported me all the way. I've given this job everything, but I do believe it's the right time for someone else to do it. And as I always say, there's a lot more work to be done, but we should never forget, nor should we take for granted, that this state of ours is the greatest place in the world to live, and our best days are ahead of us. And my only wish is for the continued success of this state that I love so much. Thank you. How quick we move on, Dave. No time for reflection on the incumbent? No, look, that's a matter for the Parliamentary Liberal Party that I expect will meet next week to make a decision as to the next leader of the party and Premier of our state. I think at this halfway point in the term of government, I think there's a great opportunity for new leadership. I have been in this job for some years and I love it, and I do give it 100% every single day. But for somebody with new leadership, well supported by a fantastic team, I think we'll continue the great work that's underway. There's never an easy time or a perfect time to do this, but I believe it strikes the right balance, most importantly, for our state and its government.
Premier, in sit-down interviews in December, you said you had no plans to move on. What's changed between then and now?
And that's true. As I've always said, I'd give this job 100% every single day I do it, and I believe that I would continue to do so in this role. But I've taken time to reflect with my family over the Christmas period. It's unlikely, indeed, would not be the case that I would want to contest the next election. So this gives new leadership an opportunity at this point in time, with the foundations well set, a plan that we're delivering, but also I believe new opportunities as well, which we'll embrace.
What are the logistics around
your Premier? What's next for you?
I don't know. I have no job to go to. I've always said that I would give this job 100%, and I wouldn't be doing so if I was thinking about what my next one might be. But I am looking forward to becoming financially independent.
Has this been quite a tough decision for you?
Yeah, very. And I honestly didn't finally arrive at it until the last day or so over the weekend, talking with my family, because it's a big call. It's a great honour and a privilege, and I hate to think that I'll be letting people down, and I know that a lot of people place their trust and faith in our government. I always accept we're not perfect and we don't always get it right, but we give it 100%, and to give away, to step aside from a job I love like nothing else other than my family is a big decision to make, but I do genuinely think it's the right one for our state.
What are the logistics around resigning from here? Will you go and see the Governor-General?
So the party will meet, and it's the job of the party members to elect a new leader, at which time I'll go to Government House and formally tender my resignation, and a new Premier will be appointed.
How long have you been thinking about this, and has there been a specific thing that's happened that's triggered this?
No. Look, and of course, over 17 and a half years in Parliament, there are times when you wake up and read the paper or see what's in the news and might wonder, why am I doing this? But I've always loved it and embraced the challenges, and it does have an impact on my family, and I cannot deny that I'm conscious of that. What they read in the paper and what they see on the news can affect them. But we've got through this together as a team and as a family unit, closer, but it does have an impact. But I think it's the right time, mid-term, with an opportunity for new leadership to set the next agenda for the Liberal Party as they head towards the election in 2022.
Is there anyone you're endorsing to become your successor?
No, I'll let that process unfold as I should, extending a courtesy to my colleagues who will work with that new leader.
And Premier, you're obviously part of a political dynasty. Do you think any of your children will be following in your footsteps, or is this the end of the Hodgman legacy?
Yeah, look, I'd be brave, given our track record, to say that this is the end, but I'm sure they'll make up their own minds in due course, and I've got every confidence they'll make the right call.
This has been received with shock, but this is out of the blue. A lot of people on the feed here are saying it's really taken them by surprise. What would you say to people that think your best political years were ahead of them, especially Liberal supporters who know how important you've been to their success?
I do know that there may be some who are celebrating this announcement, but I do feel a sense of obligation and responsibility that comes with this job, the people I work with, and the state I love. And I would not leave unless I felt confident, extremely confident, that we have the plan and the team that supported me for 14 years and now in government to continue to make sure that our state comes first and continues to move ahead. I'm confident in that, but I must, be honest and say that I think the time's right for somebody else to take on this leadership position. I've invested a lot for many years and given it 100%, and that'll continue. It'll be a new leader, but I'm very confident it'll be the same direction that our turnaround state's now taking.
What do you think you're going to miss most about this job and about political life in general?
I love doing what I did yesterday and getting out into the community I represent. This job as Premier often takes me out of that community, but I'll miss seeing the positive impact that government has and can have on people's lives, on being part of what's a really exciting period in Tasmania's history. I do genuinely believe we've got a real spring in our step as a state, and the government's played its part, but it's just a wonderful thing to be part of a state that is prouder, more confident, more optimistic, and there's a lot more to do, and many Tasmanians who don't feel as optimistic or as engaged and is involved in Tasmania's prosperity, and that will drive the government and our community further, no doubt. But we've certainly come a long way, and I've been very proud to be part of that. So to leave that to others, but in some other way play my role, will be something I will look forward to.
Is there a particular achievement that you're most proud of?
I think for Tasmania's economy for the first time to be the best performing in the country across so many indicators in so many areas across all industry sectors. And what that means is not just about an economic result and a scorecard, but it means more jobs for people, more opportunity for Tasmanians. Our population has grown at the highest rate over a decade, 4 times higher now than under the last government. There are people wanting to be in Tasmania and be part of a vibrant community. So that sense of optimism and positivity about this place, which we love, and to see a buzz around Tasmania is great. What we are doing in education, I've always said, is the most important of reforms. And what we did was change a system that for so many years had disadvantaged young Tasmanians and was shortchanging them and their education. Now we're seeing the benefits of that reform, with more kids getting their education and being able to participate in our economy. I'm very proud of the work we've done with respect to family violence, and that is the most important of priorities for our government, and will continue to be so, and it is nation leading, and it's changing behaviours and attitudes and conduct in our community to make it safer for Tasmanians. I'm very proud, as the Tourism Minister, the Premier for Tourism, to have been part of what is enormous and sustained growth in that sector. It reflects so well what's special about our state, and I've loved being around what is a fantastic industry and to support, to invest in it and to see the benefits of that, and also our exports and the products and services we're sending away. A lot of work, positive work, is being done to improve our health system, to improve access to affordable housing, to reduce homelessness, and we are making progress. And we've appointed Tasmania's First Minister for mental health and wellbeing, and I think that's a really important sign of a new direction for government to be more caring of those in our community who are vulnerable. We've got a really strong economic track record as a government that stands unrivalled. For the first time ever, our state's had the #1 performing economy in the country, but we're also a government that has cared for Tasmanians, all Tasmanians, and are doing all we can to make sure that Tasmanians feel part of a more buoyant and prosperous Tasmania.
What advice will you be giving to your successor?
I know all my colleagues well enough, and they me, to not need any advice from me, but it's a great opportunity and a privilege, and I know that whoever does the job will have the support of our team. They'll certainly have mine, because we've been very close over a number of years. We spent a lot of time together, and we've got great respect for each other, and I think Tasmanians can be confident that government will go on and very strongly under new leadership.
And
Say at
Premier,
the time-
any regrets? We've spoken a lot about your successes. Any regrets looking back?
No regrets, no excuses.
You say the time's right, but I think a lot of people will still be asking why. Is this a personal decision? Or did politics play a part? How would you characterise it?
No, it's a personal decision that I've arrived at. I have consulted with those closest to me, my parliamentary colleagues and my family, and it's never a right time or an easy time, but I go out at a time when I think that new leadership will be a positive thing for our state, and I go out knowing that Tasmania is a better place now than when we started, and I'm proud to have been part of a government that's played its part in what is the turnaround state. Okay, thank you all.